Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of the DAN Show. Happy Monday and welcome to my breakdown of the Houston Texans. Now, if you're new to my channel, I've got one simple question to ask you. Do you want to talk football? Because if so, you're in the right place. There's this button right around here. See it, see it, see it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Now, I got a great week of videos for you. Monday, we're going to break down the Houston Texans. Tuesday, Seattle. Wednesday, Baltimore. Thursday, Tennessee. Friday, we're going to break down the Green Bay Packers. Next week, we'll do San Francisco and Kansas City. And maybe Wednesday, we're going to do a live stream. That's still up in the air, but I'll keep you informed. Now, on to Houston here. Here's how the breakdown's going to work. I'm going to talk about what I like about the Houston Texans. Then I'm going to talk about what I don't like about the Houston Texans. But stick around to the very end where I break down the Vegas over-under and if I am going to put action down on the Texans. So let's start off with what I like about the Houston Texans. The number one thing I like about the Houston Texans is Deshawn Watson. However good you think Deshawn Watson is, he's probably better. When the NFL did its top 100, Deshawn Watson was named 20th. So by his peers, he's listed as the 20th best player in the NFL. But if you look at his stats, he's good. He's a Pro Bowl quarterback and everything, but it doesn't show you what he has, and that's the it factor. Remember, if you're like me, you watch him at Clemson play against Alabama, basically an NFL defense. He made him look like a junior varsity defense. I mean, he just looked awesome against one of the best college defenses maybe of all time, and he did win a national championship. The second he stepped on the NFL field, you could just see that he's special. In my opinion, I think we're looking at a future Hall of Fame quarterback. I think this guy's going to win a couple MVPs and win lots and lots of awards. Is he there yet? No, of course he's not. But is he one of the best quarterbacks in football? Unquestionably. I just think that however good you think he is, he's probably better. As a matter of fact, I would even say that he's an NFL MVP candidate for 2020. I think he's that good. So, and what also is going to go hand in hand with Deshaun Watson is the second thing that I like the Houston Texans is that they improved the offensive line. They gave Tunsil the big contract. He's going to be with them the whole offseason. But what's really important is the 2019 first and second round draft picks of Titus Howard and Max Sherpin. Hopefully I'm getting the name right. I didn't like these draft picks because they were small school players that were projects. And I knew that they both had to start, and they did struggle. The offensive line was really bad in 2019. I've said this in multiple videos. Normally, if you're a rookie offensive lineman and you play all 16 games, year two, you're going to be better. Is there a chance that one of them gets hurt or that they regress? Yes. But as a general rule of thumb, if you play 16 games your rookie year, your second year, you're going to be better. Keep in mind, both these guys were small school athletes, projects, so the grading curve and the time for them to get better was going to be a little longer. Putting them with Tunsil for a whole offseason, I think is going to be huge. Keep in mind, this was one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League. They still won the AFC South. I think it's a no-brainer that the offensive line in 2020 is going to be better than the offensive line in 2019. Keep in mind, this is one of the worst offensive lines in football, and Deshaun Watson was still named the 20th best player in the NFL. So Deshaun Watson plus an improved offensive line, good things are going to happen. Number 3 is J.J. Watt. Now, he only played in 8 games, but let's back up for a second. In 2018, the Houston Texans had the 4th best scoring defense. They had 43 sacks. Watt alone had 16. 2019, they were the 19th rated scoring defense. They only had 31 sacks. Watt had 4 in 8 games. Now, a healthy J.J. Watt, I don't think a healthy J.J. Watt's going to propel you into a top 5 defense. I'm not saying that at all, but are they better than the 19th best scoring defense in football? The answer is yes. And having J.J. Watt coming back and hopefully playing a whole 16 games is going to improve the defense. But you also made some interesting picks in the draft. Now, 3 of the players, you drafted a player for all 3 levels of defense. Per our lads, Ross Blacklock's going to start at defensive tackle. He's a guy I really liked out of TCU. I think he's really going to help. Jonathan Greenyard, I think it's a perfect fit for what the Houston Texans like. They like tall, rangy, athletic players. Not going to start, but he's a guy who's going to help out. And then John Reed, corner out of Penn State. Keep in mind, they also picked up Vernon Hardgraves in the trade for Gary and Conley. These guys are going to help improve the defense. So with a healthy Watt and some minor additions to the defense, I fully expect them to be better than the 19th ranked scoring defense. This is a team that, with J.J. Watt playing at 100%, has traditionally been a top 10 defense. If Watt's healthy 16 games, it wouldn't surprise me if the Houston Texans have a top 10 scoring defense in 2020. So just to recap, the three big things I like about the Houston Texans: you have a superstar quarterback in Deshawn Watson. You're going to have a much improved offensive line. Now, keep in mind, Titus Howard and Max Sharping really got to step up. Tunzels has to prove he's worth the big money. He's the highest paid left tackle in football. And J.J. Watt in the defense have got to improve in 2020. So now let's talk about what I don't like about the Houston Texans. The number one thing I have to dislike about the Houston Texans is that Bill O'Brien's made some very questionable trades, and the way he's coached made some trades. I mean, everybody knows about the Hopkins trade, but in 2019, the draft were, using the first and a second round pick on offensive linemen. It didn't work. And then you have to give up a 2020 first and a 2021 first. There's other draft compensation involved. So you can get Tunzel, and then you use a fourth round pick this year. Out of your 5 draft picks, you use another one on an offensive tackle. And I thought it was good value for the player, but I mean, basically over the last 2 drafts, you've used 5 picks on the offensive line. I mean, you got to get it right. It's funny. One of the things I did was not as a guest, but I joined live streams of the Houston Texans, the Tennessee Titans, and the San Francisco 49ers during the Chiefs playoff run, because I wanted to see what opponents felt about the Kansas City Chiefs, and I wanted to hear what opposing fans had to say. And I was shocked at how much hatred this was before the Houston Texans lost the playoff game against the Chiefs. The amount of hatred the Houston Texans fans had towards Bill O'Brien. It was crazy. If you ever watched The Office, do you remember The Office? You know how Michael Scott hated Toby? Well, Michael Scott's like Houston Texans fans, and Toby is Bill O'Brien. I mean, the hatred is immense. It's overwhelming. This was before the playoff loss to Kansas City, before the fake punt, before the 24 point, before the 24 point debacle. I mean, wow. And yeah, they hate him. And the reason why I'm not going to promote this show, it's not a bad show, but it's not good. The guy he hosts a show. It's more entertainment. They do all sports, but his co-host, I think, was either drunk or high or a combination of both. Bottom line, earlier today, I was in the bathroom and I dropped off more football knowledge than his co-host had. He's not bad, but I can't promote him. All right. If I promote something, it's something I like. I don't follow him on a regular basis, but I joined his live stream 2 or 3 times when the Texans were playing the Chiefs. I think he's on daily. And I talked to some Texans fans, really cool fans, got some really great opinions, and they weren't really overly confident. Like, they weren't cocky, but they were thinking, hey, we already won earlier in the year. Why can't we do it again? So, by the way, I did have a lot of respect for Houston Texans fan, and again, the show's not terrible. It's just not good. All right. The second thing I don't like about the Houston Texans is the decline of J.J. Watt. In the last 4 years, he's only played 32 games. And even though he's listed as I'm using a Pro Football Reference, by the way, and in 2017, he's listed with 5 starts but no sacks. And I can tell you this, he was a complete liability in the playoff game at Arrowhead. How did I know this? is that the Chiefs scored 51 points. I mean, J.J. Watt 5 years ago, healthy, holds the Chiefs to under 51 points by himself. But J.J. Watt in a playoff game, complete liability. He did produce some against the Bills and was instrumental in helping the Texans beat Buffalo, but against Kansas City, he was a liability. And I'm not saying anything against J.J. Watt because, I mean, he toughed it out, gave it his all, and that's what you want to see from a player. Somebody toughs it out. And I'd rather have J.J. Watt at 50% than probably 90% of other defensive ends. But bottom line, he just didn't get it done. And keep in mind, he's only played one full season in the last 4 years. The other 3 years combined, 16 games. And that 2017, it says 5 starts, but I mean, no sacks. If you get J.J. Watt at about 80 to 90% for 12 games, you're probably making the playoffs. But bottom line, he's hit 30. I remember when he was on Hard Knocks, he's like, I don't even have time for dating. Well, he got married in February. He was on Saturday Night Live. He wasn't terrible. He had a few skits that was kind of funny, but it seemed obvious to me that he's planning for his life outside of football. I mean, he's 30. Being an NFL player is not something you could do for 20, 25 years. I mean, there's exceptions, Tom Brady, of course, but J.J. Watt knows that he's past his peak. He's never going to have another 20 sack season. I mean, that's a fairly safe assumption to make. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, as a football fan, I would love it if he had like 22 sacks. I mean, that would be great, but it's probably not going to happen. It's probably extremely unlikely that he's going to play a full 16 games in 2020. But to sit here and say that J.J. Watt's going to be the same player that he was, I mean, he was on the same level with Aaron Donald, if not better than Aaron Donald about 5 years ago. I thought he was. I thought about 5 years ago, he was probably the best defensive player I've ever seen short of Lawrence Taylor. I mean, this guy leaves football today, right now. He's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. Maybe he's first ballot. I think he's first ballot Hall of Famer. It's debatable, but I mean, he gets in after 7-8 years easy. So the problem is, though, he's not the same guy he was 5 years ago. He's just missed too much time, and to sit here and bank on him, I mean, he's got his $100 million. He's married. He's on TV. I would love for him to be on TV after his career's over. I think he'd be great. Speaking of $100 million, it leads me to the third thing that I don't like about the Houston Texans, and that's Patrick Mahomes got $500 million. And yes, Patrick Mahomes plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, not the Houston Texans, but Mahomes was drafted 2 picks before Deshawn Watson. Now, if the Houston Texans signed Watson to a 5-year, $200 million contract, that would have been record-breaking. It was at all sorts of NFL records. It would have been this great big thing. It would have been all over the NFL Network, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. But since the Chiefs signed Mahomes to $500 million, anything less than $500 million, and by the way, $500 million is what Deshaun Watson's agent's going to throw into the Houston Texans front office's face over and over again, because anything less than $500 million is a slight. Let's say you sign him for half, a 5-year, $250 million deal. Well, that's 2.5 times of what J.J. Watt's making. And then that also screws you because that it's not a 10-year deal. So now you say, okay, he's only worth half of what Mahomes had. He doesn't want to play here his whole career. It's really smart of the Chiefs because they screw both the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans, but especially the Houston Texans, because anything less than $500 million, it's going to seem as a slight to Deshaun Watson, where before this contract, you probably could have got away with a 5-year, $200 million deal, and it would have been record-breaking, would have been earth-shattering. You would have been like, oh, wow, you gave all this money to Deshaun Watson. Now he's got to prove it. Now he's got to win a Super Bowl. Now he's got to do this. Now he's got to do that. It really puts you in a bad situation. Now, will that affect 2020? I don't think so, but I do question does it have an effect? Is it going to affect Watson in the back of his mind? Is he going to risk his body knowing that, hey, maybe I need to play it close to the vest because I might have 500 million coming. Remember, they just got rid of the DeAndre Hopkins. So if they're going to get rid of DeAndre Hopkins, they may not want to keep you around. But of course, I think that if they had to choose between Hopkins and Watson, they would take Watson. I know because they got rid of Hopkins. And I think part of that's because they know that they have to get an extension together for Deshawn Watson. But thanks to Kansas City, anything under 500 million will seem as a slight. And believe me, that is something that has the Houston Texans worried about. And I also think that factors into the Hopkins trade is getting Watson extended. So to recap, the three things I don't like about the Houston Texans is the Bill O'Brien GM experience, the draft, the trades. I know for a fact they hated that fake punt, which really kind of kickstarted Kansas City coming back from a 24-point deficit to win by 20 in the playoffs. J.J. Watt, not the same guy. Not the same guy, unfortunately. I mean, this is, I think, a first ballot Hall of Famer, but definitely a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players to play. But last 4 years, 32 games. That's half, and he's only had one full season out of the last four. His career is definitely in decline, and he's collecting a lot of money, not as much as Watson's going to make, which is the third thing I don't like, is that with Mahomes' contract, the Watson situation becomes extremely more complicated. And does it affect the team this year? I think that the extension of Watson had to play partly into not re-signing DeAndre Hopkins and deciding to trade him for less than what he's worth, at least a lot less than what the Bills traded for Stephon Diggs. If you heard me last week, I praised Minnesota, trashed Buffalo for that trade because Hopkins was given for basically a handful of change in comparison. So, hey, what did I say? Stick around to the very end where I talk about the Vegas over-under, and this is a good one. So if you stayed around, kudos, because this is a great team to bet on. The over-under is 7.5. The over is -130. So you have to wager $130 to win 100. The under is plus 110. So a $100 wager will win you $110. Out of every team I've done so far, this is easily my favorite. They went 10-6 last year. The schedule's tough. The schedule is tough. But 7.5, that means you go 8-8. This team definitely is better than an 8-8 team. I love the over on this. Even at -130, this is still a smart investment. However, because you have -130 on the over, plus 110 on the under, I was thinking it would jump up to 8, but this has been steady like this since it opened. I'm really surprised. I think last year it was 8.5, and I really thought it would be either 8 or 8.5. To be under 8, I think is extremely surprising because I still think this is a playoff team. Matter of fact, bonus coverage for you guys. To win the AFC South, the current numbers are the Colts are the favorite at plus 140. Titans are in second, plus 175, but the Texans are plus 300. Today, right now, the Houston Texans are my favorite to win the AFC South. You did hear me correctly. Even without Hopkins, I like the Houston Texans to win this division. They are my favorite. So plus 300, which is basically 3-1 odds. Jacksonville's 12-1 just for fun, by the way. But the Houston Texans to win the division, you get 3-1 odds. It's not a bad bet. Now, I'm gonna really kind of eyeball the Houston Texans between now until the start of the season. Remember, they kick off the season Thursday. So if you want to bet the over-under, make sure you do it before September 10th because they play on Thursday night. So if you can get to the casino Wednesday, and you may want to wait till Wednesday because you don't know who's going to sit out, who's not going to sit out. But the Houston Texans and the rest of the AFC South, I'm keeping a close eye on because I definitely liked over. I hate -130. It's a bad number, but This is so far the safest bet out of all teams I've done. The Houston Texans are right now my number one team to bet on, even though it's negative 130. This is a smart move. I don't think they really, I think that they're about a 9-10 win team. And I think basically you're going to see the Colts, Texans, and Titans all be about 9-10 wins. Sorry, I know I'm doing the Titans Thursday, but I'm spoiling that for you. Stick around and listen to my Titans breakdown anyway, even though I'm telling you that they're going to be about 9-10 wins anyway. So, yes, I do like the Houston Texans. I like them a lot. I do think right now, today, they are my favorites to win the AFC South. So, bonus coverage. Getting worked up here. I'm starting to sweat. That's okay. Hey, listen, enjoy the video. I know you enjoyed it. I know you like it. There's some great information. Do not forget to give me a thumbs up. Share this video with your friends. Help get this community to grow. Tomorrow, I am going to do the Seattle Seahawks. So enjoy your Monday. I will see you tomorrow.